Hi and welcome. You've arrived at the Convergence Corner, a podcast from ASI Media and print and promo marketing that covers the intersection of the printing and promotional products worlds. Here, we'll spotlight the stories of distributors who found success selling both print and promo solutions. And today's guest, Steve Flaughers, has certainly done that. By the way, I'm Chris Ruvo for ASI Media, and I'm joined by my Convergence Corner co-host, Brendan Menapace, Content Director for Print and Promo Marketing. Today, we'll be talking to Steve about what's made his print and promo success tick. That will include insights other industry pros can use to power up their own cross-medium efforts. Steve and Brendan, thanks for being with me today.
Sure. Glad to be here. Thank you.
All right. So I should mention, of course, that Steve is the owner and president of Proforma Third Degree Marketing, which is a distributorship that's affiliated with Counselor Top 40 firm Proforma. But other than that, Steve, we were kind of hoping you could maybe give us some background on yourself. What's kind of your history in the industry and where you've arrived at where you are?
Yeah, sure. So this goes all the way back to the collegiate years, and I was a delivery guy, and there was a gentleman who was in the pharmaceutical world, and I would always take out deliveries to his doctor's offices. And turns out he had a print background. His whole family had a big print shop in Cleveland, Ohio, and so he left that industry as I went back to finish my undergrad, and he joined the Proforma network. And I finished up school, and while I was at Kent State, I was on the cheerleading team, and I was the Kent State mascot for 4 years. Go Flashes! Awesome, awesome football record this year. So it can only get better. It can only get better.
I mean, when you don't win a game, you're only
not
looking
one
up.
single game.
Yeah,
not one game. It can only get better. So there's always next year, as we say as Cleveland Browns fans. But with that being said, I was in the marketing department, so I knew a lot of what I threw out at games and what we gave away, and a lot of the print and marketing. And so Brett had brought me on board, kind of as a sales rep, kind of get my feet wet in the industry. And ultimately, after my first, we'll say, big kid job after college, I made the decision to leave that industry and get into the print and promo industry. And naturally, the first thing I could think of was to go back to where I knew people were ordering things that we provide. And so went right back to Kent State, and kind of the rest is history from there.
All right, and it sounds like if we have it right, you were offering print and promo right from the start. Kind of what is that right? And what influenced that decision? Was it just that exposure that you already mentioned, or what came into play?
No, I think when I came to Proforma, and to work with the previous owner of my franchise, Brett Smiley, he was kind of well versed all the way around print, promo, apparel, and I kind of came from the background, just I guess you could say from my grassroots with my father at yard sales and this and that. Everything his thing was everything has a price tag, and it made sense if people were buying something, find a way to provide that to them. So I was very thankful when I got into the industry. You know, Brett had taught me right out of the gate, hey, these are promotional products, and this is kind of how that works. But most importantly, looking back, it was he taught me about print, and he said, print sometimes can get a little bit scary, get a little bit difficult. But he taught me, I thought, a very good way. You just need to be dangerous, in the print game. If you're coming from the promo side, going to the print side, chances are you probably won't master it. I've been doing this 16 years, and I will be the first to say, I'm not a master of this, but I know enough to be dangerous.
Okay.
And even you just got to be dangerous. But more importantly, I need to know what supplier partner to call to complete the rest of the picture. And we've done that all the way from, we've had, we've been very blessed, especially in the Northeast Ohio market. We've had some phenomenal commercial printers or contract only printers. And it's all about relationships. And I remember we had Dave come down from Dupli Systems, and he literally said, Dave, I got these people want like a book, and they're talking terms I don't even know. I'm kind of good, right? I got them to come to the table, but I'm going to need some help. And he said, I'll tell you what, if you trust me, and I did, he said, I'll come in and do that sales call for you. I'll even tell them pricing right there. Just let me know what kind of margin you like to keep in it, and I'll let you know what we have. And literally, he came in and ran the whole meeting. I did the introduction
and sat back.
Hey, I'm gonna let you do your thing. And when we got done, I literally looked at Dave and I said, hey, how'd we do? And he just looked and kind of grinned. He said, we did pretty good today.
Yeah.
And then he gave me specs, and I put it in, and the rest is history from there. And with repetition, you start to, you just got to have that repetition to get in there and kind of learn. But it's not, and I don't think it's scary. Just, just always know who you can call if you get into a sticky spot or something you just don't understand. And again, right, we are an extension of a commercial printer sales force. They want to sell print. They want me to sell print. They want me to bring the print to them. I have never, ever ran into a commercial printer that said, no, we're not going to help you. You'll have to
Right.
figure that out on your own. I mean, they will take it and virtually finish it for you and say, here's your price.
Okay.
Now, I love that phrase you used to stay dangerous. Can you give us a little bit of a, explainer of what you mean by that, how you can be dangerous in the market?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, the way that Brett taught me when I got into it, right here. So here's a number 10 envelope. I know it's a number 10 because I've been, doing it long enough that, and I've quoted enough of these, I just can look at it and say, okay, that's a number 10. But really what Brett did, it was a very simple format. He said, I don't care what your project is, give it a name. Just call it a name, right? I mean, obviously I don't have anything on this. We'll just call it, we'll call it the C for Chris Ruvo, right? This is the C envelope. Okay, now we have it the name. Now, if we need to reference it, we know what to call it. And literally, we got something to measure it. So the first thing was, measure it. And if it's something that's folded, then unfold it all the way. For example, here's a booklet, right? Just unfold it. So, what do we have here? 17 by 11. What does it fold down to? And you just really start to spec it out. How many colors? Okay, well, obviously there's 4 colors, 4/4, right? Or in the promo world, we just say it's full color, 2 sides, and again, I'm getting, but then we get into, if that's enough really, and then ask the great questions, right? Number 1, what's your in-hand state? 2, do you have, I would ask, do you have specs from a previous project? Is there a specific paper or card stock that you like or prefer? And they could say, I don't know. And you can lean on your supplier partners for that, but get as much information as you can. And even to this day, 16 years later, sometimes depending on the project, I'll still call the supplier and say, hey, here's the deal. I'm good to a point on this. I got as much information as I can. I'm going to give you what I have. I need you to tell me what else I need to be asking the customer if I'm not giving you enough information, right? And again, they want to help you. They are here to help you. They want that print job running on their press. They will never tell you no, or I won't help you, or should never, have a bad attitude about it. But they'll tell you, hey, Steve, go back and ask them how they want it finished. And then, I want to learn too, right? Okay. Oh, yeah, I can ask them that. Hey, what does that mean, by the way? What is finish? They'll educate you right there on the spot. Is it saddle stitch? Is it perfect bound? Is it, now I'm starting to throw some terms out because I've been doing it a little bit, but I assure you, there was a time where I had no idea what that meant.
So it sounds like being dangerous is kind of a fun way of saying just continuing to grow your knowledge base about the medium. And we're talking about it seems to frame it, we're kind of talking about, hey, if you're going from promo to print, maybe you start to build that knowledge base. A great way to do that is to develop relationships with commercial printers, with printing experts who are going to be willing to partner with you, work with you, and help you enhance that knowledge. And then when you have those good relationships in place, or as you continue to build them, hey, use them, like rely on their expertise, because there's the collaboration actually behooves everybody, because that's how you're going to make money and best serve your clients.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's far, I promise you, there's far more resources out there right now than there was 16 years ago, to assist in this. And we've acquired several print companies over the years. And, thankfully, a lot of the staff, they grew up in the print industry. We had a gentleman who was on our team at one of our offices in Southern Ohio. And literally working here was the first job that he had since he graduated high school. But that was back when they were doing all the commercial printing in-house, right? So they were on the color separations and running the Heidelbergs and the AB Dicks and whatnot. So he was always around people that were, we'll say, master printers, if you want to call it that. But there's great resources. 4Over has a phenomenal free resource. I think it's just 4Over's Print 101. Phenomenal resource. You watch that once or twice, you're, in my opinion, you're going to start to be what I would call dangerous, right? You may not master it, but there's a lot of phenomenal information. They did a really good job. But Chris, you were exactly right. you said find you probably a local printer and maybe even a small printer, right? Because they can give you a little bit more of their time. Maybe they're not as busy as a larger commercial printer, and that might be a phenomenal resource
Mhm.
as well. And as you start to get better, right, and you're learning how to spec this out. So obviously we have a number 10 envelope. It's 1/0 or one color front, no color on the back. And this flap actually is what we call a peel and seal, kind of a
Mhm.
no-brainer. But when you get to that confidence level to where you can quote out that some of these just basic products and any promo distributors out there, you can severely increase your revenue
Mhm.
just doing the basic stuff. Just start with the envelopes. If that feels good, if that's a little bit comfortable, right? Not too crazy. Number 10 and a little bit smaller is a number 9. And there's tools out there. I thought I had one with me that you can literally lay an envelope. I think Western States has these, or at least they used to. But there's a little mark in the bottom corner, and you just put the envelope here, and then it tells you what size. I mean, quickly, not, you've
Mhm.
got a number 10, you've got an A7, you've got a number 9. Does it have a window, right? And you take that information. Now you can start to build out, we'll say your print base. So get 2 or 3 really good printers that you're comfortable with. Now you can take that spec. Now you can send it out to multiple people, making sure you're getting, probably the most competitive price out there.
Great.
And obviously
Brendan, I know you had
quality
some
and
questions.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to talk a bit about, as someone who has been in both print and promo from the get-go, rather than as someone who, started in one, crossed over to the other, what were some of the primary customer verticals that you've been working with in throughout your career with this distributorship that have wanted print and promo together? What are some of the common applications and product selections that these people are asking for?
I think, I mean, right out of the gate, so when I got into the industry and I had acquired or purchased my franchise from the previous owner, he just kind of wanted to go in a different direction. But also, right, it was in the market crash of what, '08 and '09. I mean, I had parents and friends tell me I was insane for buying a business. I almost got laughed out of the living room for that. Um, thanks for the support, guys. Um,
Well, it worked out.
but no,
So.
yeah, but right out of
Yeah.
the gate, like literally, I signed the agreement on January 1st, and literally within the first 2 months, we lost our 2 largest accounts, and I'm like, I'm ready to jump off a bridge.
Yeah.
Like this is not going to go well. So I had to think about it, and it's like, well, who's not going anywhere, and who still has money, and who's probably going to pay their bills if they order something? And I'm like, oh, Kent State, right?
Mhm.
It's been there since 1910. Haven't gone anywhere. They're probably not going to buy anything and unless they're
Mhm.
willing to pay for it. So I went back home. I went to Kent, and then I also was a student at the University of Akron. And I thought, wow, what I'm doing here at Kent is working really well, kind of pulling the alumni card. And I was a student at Akron. I want to go try it over there too. And went over to Akron, started doing that, and that really, so we really found a niche right out of the gates. With higher education. And next thing you know, we were working with probably 20 or 30 colleges and universities up and down the East Coast. And most of that was apparel and promo, relatively pretty easy. But we really did try to push our print capabilities. A lot of colleges at the time, and to an extent even today, they still have print shops on campus.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So not saying there's not print on campuses, there is, right? Because their print shop is very limited.
Mhm.
So, you just get in and find their print shop person, say, hey, what type of things are you outsourcing that your print shop can't handle? And you'll still find some stuff on there. And who knows, right? Things happen. Their press could go down and they might need, a 40,000 piece mailer. You need to be right there and again, be dangerous and know how to master that. Then from there, we started to expand out especially as we started acquiring other businesses, and just acquiring their book of business and seeing what they were doing. But I really always enjoyed acquiring the print companies, right? Because they usually had a staff on hand that had a lot of experience
Mm.
that I could lean on. Then it was like, great, now let me show you guys how to sell promo and apparel.
Mhm.
And you already have the relationships. They're already buying print from you, but they're also buying apparel and promo from someone. Let's just bring it all in house and let's just be that one source with infinite resources.
Kind of to that point, can you think of a cool job or two that combines the two mediums, like where you did print and promo, and it just kind of came together particularly well on like a specific campaign or so? I'm sure there's many, but just anything come to mind? Yeah.
Yeah, we had a large one. I mean, this one really, to that point, was probably our largest opportunity and overall largest sale up through that time. So this is going back, a handful of years, but we did a lot of work with, and again, as I said, I was expanding as much as possible on these college campuses, and we came across a contact at Walsh University in Canton, Ohio, and she had a relatively small order, right? And that's just it. You don't know who knows who. It is a small order, 300 ink pens, probably 35-cent ink pens with a one color imprint. Probably not going to retire off of that. And but we got to talking, and she was a nice lady, and we stayed in contact. And she said, "Hey, I'm actually the Ohio representative for a project called NADE, National Association of Developmental Education." And she said, "I'm the state representative, and this coming year is going to be the national convention is going to be here in Ohio." I said, "Great, how can we help?" And she goes, "Yeah, we really need, a lot of giveaways, and we need lapel pins for the speakers. We need another lapel pin for the outgoing president. We need an award for such and such." I'm like, "Wow, man, this thing's pretty sizable." And I said, "Well, what, my favorite word, what else?"
Mhm.
And, "Oh, we need table throws, and can you do signage?" "Absolutely." "What else?" And she goes, "Well, that's really all I have for you." And she goes, "Yeah, we need to find a printer to."
Oh,
Well,
Eureka!
Yeah, how about that?
well,
Yeah.
alrighty then.
Yeah.
And again, by that time I was feeling dangerous.
Mhm.
And I said, "Well, I don't know if you knew this or not, but we also do commercial printing." She goes, "Well, we need, we need pre-show postcards. We need post-show postcards. We need the bylaws printed out for." I said, "We can do all of that." And she was really excited that we could do all of that. And again, I wasn't going to let off that. I was like, "Well, I'm kind of good at print. I might need to get some help." I'm not going to tell her that, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I felt comfortable enough to say, "Well, great. What are you looking for? What are the specs? And a lot of times, for the most part, a lot of people already know what they want. They could say, "Hey, I just need 50 pages. It's just black and white. And can you staple it together?" "Okay,
Mhm.
great. What is the size?" Right? It comes back to what I said, just learning, just measure it out. What do you have? And if you don't, hey, do you have a copy? Or do you have the files? I can. And we got with our commercial printing friends here in Northeast Ohio, and got everything back together. And she was absolutely thrilled to death that she didn't have to go find a printer. She didn't have to go find an apparel guy. She didn't. And again, it comes back to relationships, and we were making the job very easy for her. And she even gave us a booth at the show. So it was very
Oh,
cool.
wow. Okay.
You really touched on a couple things that I've come across so much in doing these interviews. The first one, like you said, is the relationships aspect of, people really value that. But the other one is that in these interviews about talking to people who have, bridged this gap between print and promo, so much of it comes from just saying yes, even if they weren't the expert at the time. If someone said, "Hey, can you do XYZ?" Just being like, "Yeah, we can do that." And then, kind of figuring it out on the fly and learning by doing a bit.
Yeah, Brendan, I'll agree with that to an extent, right? So if I know that it's printing, right,
Mhm.
and for the most part, yeah, you can, hey, I won't say yes, but let me see what you have, or can I learn a
Mhm.
little bit more about the project? But I think if we're all realistic, and I just ran into this actually probably about a week or so ago, and I started down that road to where I thought I could get it, but I think we really need to stick with what's in our wheelhouse. Know what you're good at, right? Because I would far rather say no and live to fight another day than to kind of be a yes guy and just foul something up, or unfortunately drag that particular project out so long
Mhm.
that they're going to get frustrated. And now I'm doing them a disservice because I'm not giving them a lot of time to get out there and look for something else. So I think I think it just makes good sense to really know your wheelhouse. Now, if it's print and you personally don't have the knowledge, but I'm certain I can print an envelope, right? Maybe it's got something where colors are bleeding off the sides. And maybe that's a little bit different than just that simple, top corner card that, one color, but I know I can do the envelope. So
See,
That one is,
that's the point I was going to make, is that you had, by being that, I think I know what Brendan's saying, like by having that knowledge and then having those relationships in place, you kind of, all right, I may not be the expert in every little thing she's asking for or this particular client is asking for, but I know that this is an achievable thing, and I know I have the resources that I can draw. And when you have that kind of backing and partnerships in place, you can move forward with executing a lot of stuff.
yeah, and it makes good sense to tell the customer, hey, I need to check on this one, but I'm going to let you know as soon as possible, because if it's not a good fit for me, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Client, I'm not going to waste your time. You're going to be really upset at me if I do that, but I'm going to let you know ASAP, right? And thankfully, I mean, we're fortunate being part of the Proforma network, right? I've got several hundred friends that I can take the specs out to, and even a photo,
Mhm.
send it out and say, hey guys, does anybody have experience with this? Hey, does anybody know of, and we do that quite often. And so that's actually been a huge value to us as well. And there's a lot of groups online and on social media that you can share information like that to find out if somebody has somebody to do that. But yeah, I mean, it serves you better. It saves us a lot of time. If we know it's something that we can't do, or it's just not a good fit, or maybe it's too risky, um, we'll back out. But I mean,
Mhm.
they spent over six figures. If I can get 80% of the items, I'm still having a great day, and I'm
Yeah.
not screwing something up.
Yeah.
Now it sounds like for this promotion that there was a lot of things that they came to you with. Did you have to do any sort of guidance to pick the products that they used for this, or was it just kind of they had a idea already in mind and you just had to, flesh it out with them?
Yeah, I mean, going back to the, we need lapel pins. Okay, great. Now I've got my framework. What size lapel pin? Do you have artwork for the lapel pin? Do you want the military clasp on the back, or do you want magnetic so we're not sticking holes through maybe somebody's very expensive shirt? And just kind of crafting it. And then, hey, here's our logo. Okay, great. Do we need to die cut around the logo, or just want to keep it, rectangle, square, circle? And you just kind of hold their hand and kind of walk them down there until you get your final specs. And then right, and then you go to your um, preferred lapel pin provider. With the promotional products, a lot of it was, I ask them, hey, where do we need to be at? Are you trying to stay within $1 or two? Do you want a couple items, or you just want one nicer item so they don't have a bunch of stuff to carry around, or the thrill of, oh, at every other table I've got something I can pick up and put in my suitcase, right? So just really guiding them down that path. I mean, nothing that we don't, that most of us in this industry don't do on a regular basis. But yeah, it really relatively easy. And then we send them with a couple options, and they just kind of, oh, I want that, I want that, I want that. Great, here's your proposal. We good to go? Where does it need to go? When does it need to be there? That kind of thing. Yeah, so it's pretty easy. Just the numbers were bigger, but those opportunities, they're out there. I mean,
Mhm.
it's just mind-boggling how much is out there.
Kind of to that point, education is obviously a big market for promo in particular, but print as well, and we know that. But you have some interesting niche markets that you work with as well. I have one in particular in mind that we had discussed recently. Can you just tell us about maybe some of the smaller markets and one in particular that you work with?
Yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah.
we did an acquisition, actually this time last year.
Mhm.
So it's been a full year. It's in a absolutely beautiful, one of the most beautiful parts of Ohio I think I'd ever been to, which the Sugar Creek area, where a lot of people call that Amish country. And when we acquired it, I'm I was certain they probably did some work with the Amish slash Mennonite community. I was unaware of how much.
Okay.
And boy, I thought I had a grasp on a lot of things, but it's been a year full of education. And
Okay.
so, yes, we provide a lot of products to the Amish community.
And print
They've
and
been
promo, right? If I
print
understand
and
correct.
promo, print
Yeah.
and
I'm
promo.
from central Pennsylvania, so this is especially interesting to me.
Yeah,
Oh, well,
you're
we
hitting
might
your
have to.
wheelhouse with
Yeah.
two Pennsylvania guys right here for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it's a absolutely phenomenal community, and I frankly really like working with the Amish community. I mean, it's no back and forth, frankly, BS. I mean, it's, this is what we want. They expect quality. They expect timeliness. Um, sometimes the proofing it's a longer sales cycle, and I don't want to say sales cycle. It's just a longer cycle because, believe it or not, we get snail mail, and they will literally, some will literally write out, "I'm looking for business cards,"
Okay.
and we have to write them back.
Right. Okay.
So we have to. So we are in a very respectable way. We are forced to um, conform to their norms as well, and have that patience of doing that. But but they expect quality, a fair price, and they talk, right.
And
They
what kind of stuff are they buying from you, Steve, and for what kind of initiatives? I'm curious.
love pens,
Hmm.
love writing instruments, love notebooks.
Hmm.
Um, you stick with those two, I think you'll do well. Lots of catalogs, right? Because this is a very high manufacturing community. I
Hmm.
mean, it's just mind-boggling, the manufacturing that's going on out there, and a lot more than what you might think. And I'm learning a lot, and it's very fascinating to me. Lots of obviously business cards, lots of to an extent, depending on the business, quite a bit of apparel,
Okay.
sweatshirts, things like that for the workers. Um, Again, depending on the industry. Carpenter pencils, as you can imagine, we've done quite a bit of those. Believe it or not, a lot of rack cards, a lot.
Hmm.
Like rack cards by the 10 to 50,000 at a time.
And I'll tell you, and we're obviously, Brendan, we're not bringing this up because we're saying, the Amish community is the next massive market for promo and print, but we just wanted to highlight that there is opportunities everywhere to combine these
Yeah,
mediums
absolutely.
in maybe some very unexpected places even. So there is so many places to fit these mediums in together.
Oh yeah, I mean the print in that particular area is through the roof as well. Lots of cookbooks,
Mhm.
a lot of cookbooks, and you have a lot of tourism out there as well. There's a lot
Mhm.
of one of our great friends, Amish Door Restaurant, or Amish Door Inn. I mean, they have a gift shop, they have a bed and breakfast, they have but inside of those places, there's lots of publications in there, lots of cookbooks, just you know quite a bit.
Very cool.
So I do want to ask, whether it's a promotion that you're talking about with the Amish or the one we were getting into before. Have you run into any major roadblocks while you're working on promotions like this? And if so, kind of what's your standard practice in overcoming these sorts of roadblocks?
Now, when Brendan, to clarify, when you say roadblocks in that particular community, or
Well, I guess I was asking more about the education one you were talking about before. Was there any hurdles you had to jump through, or, things like product shortages or printing issues that you had to deal with, anything of that nature?
on that particular project, no. I mean, it was, I think it's very important to find out your in-hand states, and it's very important for us because they don't know the print world, right? And depending on the quantities, they could be ordering pretty significant quantities. So it makes very good sense to, when you find out what they need, is when you're getting that pricing, or you're having that print supplier, or to an extent, your promotional product supplier, make sure you're finding out production times. Hey, Mr. or Mrs. Print Company, when do you need the initial artwork? When do you need a proof back? How much time do you need for production? How much time do you need for delivery to XYZ location? Or if it's something that has to be drop shipped out, if you're doing a pre-show mailer, right? And we need to take into consideration, because one thing that is not exact is the United States Postal Service,
Hmm.
especially on an election year, right? It's
Hmm.
crazy,
Sure.
still crazy. Um, so with that being said, you're going to need to establish some timelines and really hammer those down, and really give that customer red lines. Like, here's where I would really like to have it. So, and I tell them, I would really like to have this artwork by this date so that you and I can sleep great tonight. I try to have a little fun with it.
Yeah.
We're going to sleep great if I have everything by this date. By this date, I start sweating. And here's your red line. And as you can see, I have no hair. So I have nothing left to pull out, but here's the red line. And this is pretty serious right here.
Mm.
And even with the red line, I still have it padded just a little bit too, right? So, and especially with those, because they have to get sponsors and this and logos, and they're not sending those vector files.
Hmm.
You're going to have to go out and get those vectored. I don't know that I've ever had somebody fully send sponsors to me with fully vectored logos. So, you got to have a little bit of time for that as well.
Yeah, so it's all about that expectation setting, and then also kind of, yeah, I like the way that you put it, because you kind of make it, hey, we're in this together. Like this is what we need to do so we could both have success for this. And if not, there could be some significant road bumps that mess everything up for both of us. So let's work together on this to just make it all
Absolutely.
work.
Absolutely. And it makes, depending on how big the project is and when your in-hands dates are or deadlines, things like that, it makes good sense to catch up, even on a Monday. Hey, just want to follow up this. Here's all of our action items. Here's kind of where we're at on everything. And what can I help you do? What do I need to do to help get this along? Right. And sometimes you'll find stuff like, well, I've seen situations, well, we're trying to get these logos. Send me the logo. I'll get it vectored. Don't worry about it. Well, let's just get this thing to a proof. Let's just keep it moving. Yeah.
All right, very good. So we had one kind of final big question for you, which is, and you've kind of spoken to this all along, but maybe we'll encapsulate it. And that's just, what advice would you give distributors who are kind of, I guess, maybe working in one medium, like maybe they're very heavy print, but they're interested in promo, or vice versa. Like if to make that leap, like beyond obviously educate, build partnerships. Is there anything else that comes to mind that can help make that convergence a success?
Ooh, to quote my guy Miles, if they've got the money, we'll make it nice.
All
Um,
right.
no, no. I mean, I came into it learning both at the exact same time. I didn't go really hard into the print side first and then flip over, and I didn't go promo and then go back over, to the print. So I was very fortunate at that. And when we bring on new people, to our company, I try to take that same approach. Hey, today we're talking about promo. Today we're talking about print. Today we're talking about apparel, because I want them to try to learn it as I did, and at least via the methods that I did, assisted by a lot of the great free educational stuff out there. As I mentioned, Forover has a phenomenal program as well. It's free on the website. But with that being said, I mean, taking a look back and then acquiring print companies and trying to get the print guys over to the promo side, you would think that it would be relatively super easy. And it's crazy because sometimes they're really nervous about it and it's like, print's 10 times harder. And you get a promo person and try to get them into print, and they think it's really hard. But if you think about it, at the end of the day, I mean, I think promo years ago was easier because, right, we didn't have all the technology we have now with all the UV inks and the digital. It was pretty much one color, two color. You're probably not doing much more than three color, right? And then the digital age sets in, and now with all the UV inks and the wraps. So, you know, I think number one, don't be afraid. There's always somebody, you have to remember, you are an extension of this promotional product company. They want sales. They want you to go out and sell their promotional products. Don't be afraid. Find you a phenomenal, I know some of the folks with some of the larger franchise organizations, we have dedicated reps, and they become our very good friends. We can call them even after hours, right? And they're going to help us out. But even if you're not, if you're an independent, right, you still have a regional rep. Reach out to the regional rep, have them come in your office, do the dog and pony show, learn about the products, learn about, the different print techniques. They're going to bring samples out and show you. Attend, ASI Orlando, attend ASI Chicago, right? Get out there, and that's where you're going to meet these people and see all these different techniques. And it's a phenomenal place to ask questions. But either way, if you're print to promo or promo to print, don't be afraid. You just have to get a little bit dangerous. Just collect the information. Take a photo. We all have phones with cameras now. Take a photo of it. Ask the simple questions. How many do you need? How many logos are going to go in it? What color logo? How many color imprint do you want? When do you need it by? If they already have something in mind, or if they don't, then just ask, hey, I need some drinkware. Okay, great. How big are you thinking, right? 16 ounce, 20 ounce. We all know what 16, 20s, and 24 ounces and all that good stuff. You just collect as much data as you can, and then go to that preferred supplier. Hey, I've got a customer looking for this. Is this a good fit? Can you send me some options? If you're a print guy going to promo, and it's just that simple. You already know how to spec out that print, right? It's the same thing. You're just specking it out on something a little bit, different shape than something that's started, frankly, flat. And from the promo guys going to print, like I said, It doesn't have to be that hard. Like, what do you have? Give it a name. Measure it. If it's folded up, unfold it. Measure it. Does it fold? How many folds? Is there a crease? It's not that hard. And then if you're really not sure, then always ask for a sample. You guys and girls going from promo to print. The easiest thing is, hey, can I quote some of your print work? I'd like to see where I fall in line. Why wouldn't they?
Mm-hmm.
And great. Can you give me a sample of everything you outsource that's printed? And for a long time, my good friends at BCT Ohio in Akron, Ohio, I would just go out to a customer and just say, give me a sample of everything you have that you outsource for print. I would take it. I literally didn't even know what it was. I'd walk it into them and I'd say, hey, can you spec this out for me and let me know my pricing?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And they would. And you do that enough, you're going to start to figure out, okay, this is a number 10 envelope with a 1-color imprint. It's just repetition. Again, they wanted to sell print. So they would tell me and I'd say, great. I don't know, how much do I mark this up? 20%, 30, 40, 50, what do you suggest? What do you see other people doing? And you just figure it out. And sometimes you'll go out and you'll quote it. You don't get it. Okay, I marked that up 50%. I'm probably too high, or maybe I didn't have a great relationship. I'll take the next one. I'll mark it at 40%. Eventually, you're going to get one.
Okay.
It's a numbers game. You're going to get them. And then you start to figure out, okay, I got more. I'm making this up. I got more at 40% than what I did marking it up 60%. I'm just going to go 40 across the board and take my wins. And it's truly a numbers game. And if you get frustrated because you don't get one, I mean, I don't know the last time you drove through a city or a community and look around all these buildings you see, they're buying print.
Yeah.
In some format, they're buying it. It's there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And don't be afraid. Oh, this is the biggest one, right? And I'm going to partner with my promo friends going to print. Don't be afraid of the .coms.
Mm-hmm.
I take, and I'll be a team player. I'm not going to throw out any company names. We'll say really popular .coms that you see on commercials and stuff like that. Guys, I'd take more business from those guys than you would ever believe.
Mm-hmm.
Just because they're a .com, they got big fancy commercials that they're the cheapest place in the world and you'll never take business from them. I take business from them every single day. Number one, because I'm talking to these people as a human. I'm in front of you. I'm in your local community. They're not donating to your kids' flag football team. I am. Call them and see if they're going to donate. If they're not, I'm here. I'm local. And chances are you find the right partner and you spec the things out right. You'll get it. You'll get it. So it's frustrating to hear people say, oh, they're ordering from blank.com. So?
Yeah.
Good.
So what?
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, Steve, I think that's a great place to end it. Any just final thoughts that you might have just to share with folks?
Yeah, no, I mean, we're so very fortunate, right? This is a phenomenal industry, and if you're selling print and promo and apparel, right, you may have a month where your print is really down, but you've got that promo and apparel to really, it might shoot up. And if you're in apparel and promo and it's down, your print might go up, but you can't have that satisfaction of that if you're not selling everything. These people are buying print, promo, and apparel from somebody. It should be from you. Yeah, the industry's been very good to me. I love helping people. I start to have as I age through the industry, I find I have more fun just helping other people. That I've had a lot of great people in the industry help me out and make me dangerous, if you will. But it's all about relationships, especially with your supplier partners, and your clients, right? And it's a lot of fun.
All right,
Awesome.
well, Steve Flaughers, Proforma Third Degree Marketing, thank you so much for joining us today. Brendan, any final thoughts from you on this one?
No, I think he really nailed so many things that I've seen in these interviews of, relationships, saying yes, and the biggest thing was what you just ended on, what, someone's buying print. They're buying print from somebody. Why not you?
Yeah. All right, well, great stuff, guys. I think my only final thoughts is like, Holy smokes, that Amish community story is just so cool. I just keep coming back to it because I just love it. I just think that highlights like when people say things like print promo is dead or whatever the heck it might be. Like, are you kidding me? Like, literally every community in this country is buying it. If that doesn't emphasize it, I don't know what does. So
Yeah.
hopefully that was some inspiration in addition to a lot of good advice today for everybody. Steve, thanks so much for joining us.
You guys come down to Amish country anytime and join us. We'll have a great time with it.
All right. Thanks so much, guys.
All right, guys. Thanks.